there, friends. We are here at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood for the Joker Folie dual premiere. As usual, we're going to head in, watch it, and then head back to the couch to give our deep dive. But I will say, I have heard a few things about this movie, and they aren't to the positive. Lady Gaga isn't in this film this much. It's mostly a procedural, though I like procedurals, and I'm hoping that they talk about a couple of other characters during that we might be able to research. But as usual, we're going to go in, watch it, head back, and talk about it. So I'll see you guys back on the couch.
Oh, it's a great vibe here. I always hate when people stall before it starts, so we're going to go real quick. I just want to thank you all for being here. I want to really thank Warner Brothers for taking such a bold swing on this movie, because it's kind of not necessarily the sequel you might expect. I want to thank my wonderful crew, so many who are here tonight, so many of the actors that are here tonight, but of course, these two for all the work and all the love. And my good friend and my writing partner, Scott Silver, who's going to kill me that I'm even bringing him up. But my good friend Scott Silver said to me, the only job of a creative is to work really hard and take risks. And that's what we tried to do. I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you.
Alrighty, we are back on the couch. Let's talk about Joker Folie Deux. Oh, like I mentioned earlier, I had heard a lot of negative things about this film. I heard that Lady Gaga was barely in this film. I heard that it was a procedural. And if you don't know what a procedural is, it's courtroom drama. But I adore courtroom dramas. I really enjoy mystery, and I love slowly having to wait for an anticipated reveal. Like, I like that. So procedurals, that wasn't a negative for me, but for other people, because it's courtroom drama, they find that to be a little droll. They find that to be a little anticlimactic, especially coming off of how impactful the Joker was, Todd Phillips' Joker. And I also really enjoyed Todd Phillips' directing style. If I ever had the opportunity, which hopefully one day I will, to get to direct my Selina Kyle Catwoman, I would love for him to be the director, because I love the way that he builds his worlds, and oh my god, his cinematic team, the cinematographer, just there were so many times in watching this that I felt like it was a picture. All that to say, I'm going to start off with my non-spoiler review, and then as always jump straight into my spoiler, because there is a lot of things I want to talk about. But non-spoiler, this is not a good film. It's not a good film, and it glorifies a part of humanity that I don't think it should be glorifying. This film was tricky, because even when I was watching it, there were moments where I was really engaged, and I even turned to my friend who was there with me and said, wow, this is a good film. But as the film kept going, that remark slowly lost its intent, and it lost the merit by which I spoke it, because it just wasn't good. And, you know, I found moments where even I was saying pobrecito and was really having moments where Arthur Fleck's character hit me in impactful ways, and I felt myself rooting for the villain, and that's not good. This is not just a villain, this is a murderer. This is someone who murdered 6 people. And this film makes you care for them. And as a writer and as a director, huzzah. But as a societal stance, I don't think that this is a movie that we should be uplifting and should be promoting and really putting all of our stock behind. I think it brings out and encourages the wrong kind of people and humanity. But again, art should be making you feel something. I just don't think that this is the message that we should be portraying. It was hard. It was hard to get through. And for me, I do want to let you all know, because I know there was a lot of conversation in whether this was a musical or it was not a musical. This is a musical! And I will talk about that more in the spoiler part, but this is, I don't want you to be confused, this is absolutely a musical. I don't think it's spoiler to say this, but it is the Lady Gaga show. I'll talk about that more, but I do want to let you guys know this is very much the Lady Gaga show. It's not so much Joker, it is more the Lady Gaga show. So do prep yourself for that. If you're a Lady Gaga fan, this is for you. They truly built this show for you. For me personally, I don't feel like this was the right kind of a sequel to Joker. I think that where Joker left us, it left us in a really dark place, and you know, coming off of Heath Ledger's Joker, this was a new take, and I think that original Joker film had such a big impact on the world because we could see how dark humanity could really go. And it was also a conversation of mental health. It was a conversation on a man who had this tic, this laughter tic, and because of how he grew up and how he was as a child and the abuse, this was the only option. It was a sense of safety and security to reach to this depth. This film kind of glorifies that in a very weird way. And, you know, the way that they entwine the music into that, it was just, I thought I liked this film in going in, and then it just felt exhausting. This one, it had moments where I found myself comparing it to Megalopolis. Please, I did a whole review on that bad boy, but it gave me the same feeling that Megalopolis gave me, in that this director got a lot of money to do whatever he wanted. I will say Todd Phillips did a lot better in narrowing it down. I think it's just a lot of the additive choices that he made took away from the plot, that being the music. But that's my non-spoiler review. I do want to now get into the deep dive of the spoils. So if you haven't seen it yet, please pause the video here, come back after you've watched it. But that's the non-spoiler. For me, this was I know a lot of people are going to say this, it's a one and done for me. I will not watch this movie again. I don't like the way that it made me feel. But it was fine. I think for the zeitgeist of the world, I needed to watch this. There were a few comic book elements in there and Easter eggs, but not enough to make me satisfied as a comic book enthusiast. There wasn't really a lot for me to dig on, and honestly, some of the Easter eggs and some of the character cameos that they added into it, I felt weren't worthy. They were just thrown in there to be cute, but didn't really serve in the overall purpose of a comic book film. They were just flavor, and I wasn't hungry. But that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Let me hop over to the spoiler. So spoiler review. I'm so tired of Lady Gaga. And what I'm tired of Lady Gaga in is that I don't feel like she ever really jumps into the characters. And it's so interesting because I watched a video today about how when she was on the set of Gucci, she had a psychiatrist or a therapist with her to help her really navigate this role. And I've seen so many of these interesting is how I'm going to say deep dives on how she goes into her character. And as an actor, I have my own methods too on how I approach a character and how I really put myself into that world. And I find her methods to be a little bombastic. And, you know, so she's got a psychiatrist for Gucci, but it's just interesting to learn that on a show that really is about the mental health decline of a man who is pushed so far that he has committed multiple murders, and this woman who also is it's Harley Quinn. She was deranged and broken and beaten so bad by, you know, the outside forces that she fell in love with this murderer. That's Harley Quinn's story. But on a show like this that is so dark and heavy, Lady Gaga chose not to have a psychiatrist, and so it just or a therapist or whichever, a mental health advocate. She did not have a mental health advocate on this particular film. And so the inconsistency in the way by which she goes through these roles, it almost feels presentational. And I'm not a fan of the way that she presents herself as an actor and the way that she goes about embarking on these roles, is how I'll say, or presenting herself in these roles. I think this would have been a really great opportunity for her to have that mental health advocate or coach by her side on a film like this. And I think to have it on a show like Gucci and not to have it on this one, yeah, it's just a lot of the things that she does feels incredibly presentational to me, and not so much serving the character, but more just serving some behind the scenes element. I don't know. It's the same conversation of method actors and how we've really shunned away from that. There's no reason you should be sending your friends dead animals when you're trying to tap into the Joker. Not saying that that's what she did, but it's just the idea of people who will go to extreme lengths to hop into a character when that really isn't necessary. You're just being a terrible person for the sake of art. I've never been a subscriber to that. But with her, I feel like she just puts on this show of creating these intricate characters, but all I ever see is Lady Gaga. They had a whole segment in this, like, just the music alone I felt was so unnecessary. I would have watched this entire movie sans the music, and it would have been, for me, a better movie. The thing about musicals, because this is what this is, I don't want you to ever be confused. This is a musical. And the thing about musicals, as someone like myself who's been in musicals, who is a devout follower of the musical agenda. I mean, honestly, I don't even listen to mainstream music. I only listen to classical music and musicals. That's the only thing that I feel calms me, is that type of music. And so the thing about musicals is the reason why a character busts out into song is because they have no other choice, is because they have lost words, and now the only choice to express themselves and to say what they need to say and to carry on the plot is to bust out in song, is to burst the music from their bodies. And that is not what I felt from Joker 2. What it felt like was the plot stopped so that they could have this musical moment, and sometimes the music followed and flowed to what they were feeling, but oftentimes it just felt like Lady Gaga wrote a song and really wanted people to hear it. And it didn't feel like the music served the plot at all. And so when they were done singing, that 2 to 3 minutes felt like empty air, and then we picked up the plot again. And so for me, I found myself falling into the chair just waiting for it to be over. There were so many people in my theater, in the premiere, that would get up and go to the bathroom anytime they sung because they knew they weren't missing anything. And that's so bad. It felt like wasted space. And I said, even in my Megalopolis, I feel like I wasted my time. But in those moments, I felt like, what is happening? I shouldn't have lost my attention because of music. And to add to that, there was a whole musical section where Lady Gaga was on a piano. Meanwhile, Joaquin Phoenix is just kind of jokering off to the side. And I just was like, this is not even Joker and Harley Quinn. It never felt like she had tapped into Harley Quinn. And for me, as a bisexual, as a queer-coded character who loves comics, Harley Quinn is an icon. And Lady Gaga is a gay icon. You would think that that pairing would be absolutely delicious together, but I just never felt her really appreciate Harley Quinn as a character. I felt like she just had Lee as a character and dressed up-ish adjacent to Harley Quinn. I never saw Harley Quinn on that stage. And the Joker-Harley Quinn relationship is so important to the overall story and character development of Harley Quinn. I wish they would have put a little bit more into that. But then we found out that that was never Joker to begin with. Spoilers for the end. We're in the spoiler section. You know this whole section is spoiler. But to find out that Arthur was really just the catalyst by which we find the actual Joker, I thought that was really fun. I thought that was an amazing nod. And so now we realize that it was never about Harley and Arthur. It was always about Arthur being the catalyst by which we found the actual Joker. This wasn't for me, and that's really unfortunate because I love comic book movies and I love Harley Quinn, and I wish they would have given her the pedestal to really soar and really dove into that relationship. But even them becoming a couple in this film felt so unwarranted and unearned. There were so many moments in here that were unearned. You know, from Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face after the bomb explosions to Harvey even being in it. Like, I just felt like he was a cute little baby boy. Like, it didn't feel like any of these characters were worthy of the pedestals by which they came from. Even the relationship between Harley Quinn and Arthur felt rushed. It felt very overly dramatized, and it didn't feel like the relationship that we all know and love. And I'm fine with them taking these characters and turning them into a brand new thing. They did that for Transformers 1. It was characters, and they took little bits and pieces of what we knew these characters to be, and I loved it. I loved Transformers 1. But I just feel like this one, they took away really important parts and moments of these characters that made them who they were, and I didn't think I saw Harley Quinn on that stage. I saw Lady Gaga. Long story short, I just feel like this wasn't true to the characters. It was a fine movie. I will not watch this movie again. I don't think that having a film that glorifies murderers is what the world needs right now. I think that we're so over it. The world is in such a very dark place right now that I don't think that this movie did what I think it needed to do, and that was really hold these kinds of people accountable. I think it allowed a psychopath to murder a murderer and allowed the psychopath to now rise. You know, I don't know what the moral of this message is, but for me, it wasn't hitting. I just left that theater kind of feeling like, okay. The first movie, I felt like I left that theater and had a sense of like, oh, like I don't want to be that, like yikes. This one, I just felt like I was left wanting and also not wanting. So that was my impression. I liked that we got to see Arthur's decline. I like that we got to see the Arkham City police in their ire and just the negative side of that. I liked all the little Easter eggs. I liked the idea of Harvey Dent in this. I don't think that this should have been the moment when he became Two-Face. That felt like a throwaway Easter egg that wasn't ever going to be fulfilled. It just was a waste for me. And that's about it. I feel like those are my big highlights. There are a lot of other little things in there that I feel like I could talk about, but the core is kind of everything that I already said. So that's my Joker Folie Duel review. Who knows if we'll get another one? I hope not. And if we do, I sincerely hope it is not a musical. But let me know below how you guys feel. Am I just being overly critical? Do I need to give it a second watch? I'm not going to. If you have seen it, did you like Joker 1 more or did you like Joker 2 more? Are you a Lady Gaga stan and anything that she does is amazing? Please let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe, and I will see you for the next video.